Okay, cool. So Emily, so nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we haven't met, so I read a little bit about your situation.
Yeah.
How about let's do an introduction? Where are you from?
Sure.
What do you do here?
At Fringe?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm from Los Angeles.
Uh-huh.
It's my first Edinburgh Fringe, my second Fringe ever.
What's the first one?
Hollywood Fringe in June. So I
Hollywood.
Just
That sounds so fancy.
it sounds fancy, and it is.
It is fancy.
No, Hollywood itself is just a neighborhood in Los Angeles, and it's not fancy.
Yeah.
And I'm here to do my show, My Little Phobia, which is a fun, weird journey into having emetophobia and OCD with like an existential question at the end.
So you have OCD.
I have, yeah.
But I also saw your description you sent to me. There's something I can't pronounce. There's a really long word.
Yeah.
What's that?
Emetophobia.
What's that?
It's a extreme fear of vomit.
Oh, why would you have that?
Well, I don't know why I have it. I mean, why do we have anything?
And when did you realize you have that?
As long as I can remember.
Oh, so you are really afraid of vomit.
Really, really afraid of vomit.
How old are you?
I'm 36.
Oh, I'm 34, 35. I don't remember.
I know you lose count after a certain point.
Yeah. So you think like for the most of your life you can remember?
Yeah, I mean in the writing of this show, so for a long time people would ask me why do you have that, or when did you get it? And I would say I really, really don't know.
Yeah.
In the writing of this show, because it is so autobiographical, I'd had this memory for a really long time from when I was 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah.
But I sort of just wrote it off as just a memory. But then I've been realizing okay, maybe it could be considered traumatic, but it's actually, the story itself is not traumatic at all. It just as a 3 or 4 year old, maybe it scared me enough that it, or I don't know. It's all nature, nurture, who knows, right? So.
Yeah. Oh, and do you have an OCD?
Yeah, so phobias you could almost think of it as a subset of OCD. I definitely I would say that the OCD takes the form most of the time as almost I'm obsessed with not vomiting, and so I'll do a lot of rituals and behaviors that are OCD
so
related.
I feel like this thing is kind of like expression of OCD.
It is an expression of OCD.
Yeah. It's where you focus your
exactly.
thing on. Yeah.
I'm literally obsessed with it. Yeah.
And are you obsessed with other stuff? I
would not say so.
But then if it's that, then it's quite minor, because is it minor?
Minor?
Yeah, is it really bother your daily life?
Not anymore. I've done exposure therapy, so I'm a lot better. But there were times when I've it's been hard to leave my house and stuff like that. Yeah.
Because it's way easy to not vomit than let's say to not have bacteria on your hand.
Yeah, so I think the thing to think about, just like a lot of mental illness, it's not so much about reality, it's about what my perception of reality was.
That's true,
so
true.
For example, I only learned in the last year while writing this show that people don't think about vomit every single day.
You didn't know that?
I was talking, my friend was really helping me out when I was writing my script. She was helping me, giving me edits and stuff like that. We were talking about it.
Yeah.
And she was and I was oh, well, how often do you think about vomit? And she said, oh, I don't know, every 2 or 3 months. I'm talking this happened less than a year ago. And I was really? I think about it every day, multiple times a day. Even now after being on antidepressants and having a lot of exposure therapy. And I'm so much better than I used to be.
Wow.
I'm fucking with this, sorry.
Do you like children?
I do like children, but I'm very afraid of them throwing up, yeah.
Yeah, because do you want to become a mom?
I don't know. And
because if you get pregnant, you will be puking.
Maybe, yeah, there's a big part of that. And it's hard for me to tell you whether the decision for me to maybe not have kids is, it's definitely influenced by that, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't want a kid because I don't want to vomit.
Right.
Not because you don't want to rip apart your vagina. Yeah, like that's fine. That's totally fine. But the
No,
puking
that part
part.
doesn't sound good either. It sort of like all adds up to something.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what are you a comedian?
Yeah. But I do like sketch and improv characters.
cool.
Yeah.
And your solo show is
I would say it's more character. Yeah.
So you are do you do stand up at all?
Not
So
really.
you are a character
Yeah.
sketch. Oh, that's so cool. And
Yeah.
how did you start?
I started in improv. So I actually started my like artistic life as an opera singer.
Oh wow.
That was a long time ago, and my friend was encouraging me to try improv for a really long time, and he was just like, I think you would really like it. And I was like, fine, I'll do it, but only if it like helps my opera.
Yeah.
And then I took a class and I liked it, and I kept taking classes. You know how it goes. And then I just like, and then after a while, I sort of stopped singing opera altogether.
Oh wow.
I got sucked in.
That's cool. And by the way, as soon as you start speaking, I'm like, wow, you talk like an American woman.
That's because I am an American woman.
Do you think you talk? Do you think you are a little bit Karen?
A Karen?
Yeah, because
don't
your
think
voice
so.
sounds like Karen.
I think what's happened is you've heard people who are Karens and they have American accents.
Yeah.
And there are like millions of people in America, and
But
we
no,
all have
I
this
don't
accent.
think it's like any American woman. I think Karens have a specific voice, and your voice remind me of Karens. But I'm not saying you are
no,
Karens.
that's fair. I don't know. I have a very feminine voice. I
Yeah,
know
it's
that.
yeah. I think maybe that's
Yeah.
because Karens are also like a feminine, like
I
a
guess so.
Yeah. Girl,
I
you
don't
just-
know any personally, or maybe I do, but I don't know that they're Karens. I don't know. Maybe I'm a Karen and I don't know it.
So would you send back your food in restaurants?
I've never sent back food, but I've not eaten. Like, there's a lot of food that I've not eaten because, or I won't go to restaurants because I decide that
That's
they're
normal.
not
That's
safe.
normal.
Or there's like foods in general. Like, I didn't eat spinach for like 10 years. I didn't eat any sushi for like 10 years.
What
There's,
happened in those 10 years?
Spinach, like there was an E. coli outbreak one time when I was a kid, and so I just decided all spinach was dangerous.
You think that's also part of OCD?
Definitely. Yeah. Do you avoid an entire food because you're afraid you might vomit?
No.
Yeah. So you might avoid a food because you don't like it or something. Yeah. And then the sushi thing, like I got a stomach bug, but it wasn't related to the sushi at all. And but because I had eaten sushi, I was like for like about probably 10 or more years I didn't eat sushi at all.
Wow. So you puked once?
Last time I threw up was 1998.
Oh, so you also don't do drugs, anything? Because you might vomit if you
Yeah.
do.
I mean, I smoke weed, but like, and I tend not to drink too much. Like, I've never thrown up from a hangover.
Wow.
Probably needed to, but I never have. Yeah.
Wow, that's also a good thing, so you don't become alcoholics.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's
And-
protecting me.
And are you OCD in other ways? Like, are you a clean person?
I think you'll find that like people who actually have OCD aren't necessarily clean people.
Really?
But I will wash my hands obsessively. To the point of like being raw.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, for how long would you wash it? Like,
For me, it's more like, it's hard to explain. It's not for a certain length of time. It's like I wash and then I'll be like, I didn't wash enough. So I'll go back and wash again. And then I'll just be like, you know what, I don't think I washed enough. And I'll go back and wash again. But it's not like I have to do it 10 times. Some people are like that. I'm not like that. But you just have this, it's a compulsion. So you're compelled, you're like, I got to do it one more time. You know what I mean? And it got bad during COVID, which is weird because COVID wasn't throwing up necessarily, but like,
you have diarrhea with COVID.
Yeah, but diarrhea doesn't scare me.
Oh, really?
Oh, I get diarrhea all the fucking
Did
time.
you?
I don't care.
Yeah,
Can I curse? I'm cursing.
Of course.
Okay.
I'm a comedian, we say.
I know.
You know what happened? It's so funny today because before this podcast, what we do is we sit in the park. We have like 4 or 5 comedians, and then we just do a show for the cameras.
Yeah.
And basically sit and riff. And at one point, 2 female comedians, both good friends of me, we just talk who has big boobs. And then they can't agree on each other, so we decided to do a blind test. So basically, they just walk around. I close my eyes, and they put a book on each of my hands.
Did you get it right? Did you get it right?
Right? No, no. It's not like guessing whose boob is whose, but
who's bigger?
Who is bigger? Yeah.
So, but was the answer accepted by everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Did they want bigger boobs or smaller boobs? Like, what did they want?
I think they are all happy with their
They're happy
boobs.
with the result. Okay, great.
Yeah,
I'm happy to
cool.
hear that.
Because I just keep calling one girl who have small boobs, and she's like, I want to prove herself.
She wanted to prove that she had smaller boobs.
She has bigger boobs. So she wants to prove she has bigger boobs than the other girl.
Sometimes you can't tell from the outside, like from a shirt, how big someone's boob really is. There's like secret boob.
You sound
hidden
like
under
an
there.
expert of boobs.
I mean, I have huge boobs. So
Okay, camera, zoom in.
No.
So what's like A D H G
H. Yeah.
A B C D E F G H. What the fuck? Does you have back pain?
Yeah.
And do you have to wear bras all the time?
All the time.
Wow.
I mean, not to bed.
And
sleeping.
do you think you enjoy the benefits of big boobs or the burden? Like the benefits and the burden, who is more?
I think the grass is always greener on the other side. Have you heard that?
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
Yeah, there's that. I mean, I think like, so I'm married, so.
You're married?
I've been chosen by somebody who likes them, thank goodness. I think when I was dating, I was like more like, if you like big boobs, like I'm the right gal for you. But now I don't really care as much.
Cool.
Yeah.
And are you an organized person?
Yeah, I mean, I think, are you asking because you think like you're thinking of OCD in a specific way?
Yeah, because my mom, she probably has OCD. She's super organized.
Yeah, do you feel that her organization is like, when she's anxious, she gets relief by organizing?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if it's driven by anxiety, but she's really, like for example, she runs a small shop. She used to run a small shop in China. And the way she organized the storage room would piss off all the people who work for her. They say, you don't need, like, why, like, it needs to be so organized? She said, she said, then I know exactly where each piece is. They say, no, but I know where it is. She said, no, I need to know wherever exactly.
She sounds like a micromanager.
Yeah, she is. You know, and then in her home, she has a room that everything is like in her home, every small piece of things she can pinpoint where it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, obviously, I have no way of knowing whether your mom has OCD or not.
But are you there? Like, my wonder is like, is that everyone with OCD is like that?
I don't think so. I think it takes so many different forms. Like, I've known people who have OCD, and it takes the form of like, you know, you hear a lot about people like my uncle is like this. Like before he can go to sleep every night, he checks that the knife is in the drawer and not on the counter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would maybe say organized with that.
I think that's anxiety and paranoia.
So OCD and phobia are under the umbrella of anxiety. It's an anxiety disorder.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's like a form of anxiety disorder.
But you know, they also say anxiety is a form of depression. Like depression and anxiety is the same thing.
I don't know if that's clinically true. Maybe I don't know, because like the way that we're diagnosed, at least in the U.S., is like I have what's called generalized anxiety disorder, which is different. And then, well, like generalized anxiety disorder, but I also have generalized anxiety disorder, which is just like I get anxious. I don't know how else to put it.
Okay, yeah.
And you're right. Sometimes I'll be more depressed, and sometimes I'll be more anxious, and it's different. But then, like when my phobia OCD acts up, that takes a different form. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I feel this is so interesting because I read this book called Lost Connections by Johan Hari. Have you heard about him?
haven't, yeah.
He's really a good journalist. He does investment journalist. But the last few books are all kind of about mental health on some type of different level. One book was about trauma and addiction. One book was about depression, anxiety. Another book was about lost focus, so why people can't focus anymore. And in his this book, Lost Connections, he says, I don't know details, but I was really convinced that actually depression and anxiety is the same thing. It's like OCD. They have different forms.
Yeah,
it's
maybe.
like a different
I would believe
expression.
that. I mean, everyone in my family, I'm now talking about my family like without their permission, but I think that they would probably agree. Like they're all on whatever spectrum of like depression and I go back and forth from depressed to anxious or both at the same time. So
So you think you are more anxious than depressed?
I don't know. I mean, I'm 36. I've lived a lot of life, so not the most of anybody, but enough that like I've had periods where I'm much more depressed than anxious, and other periods where I'm much more anxious.
Do
than
you
depressed.
enjoy anxiety more or depression more?
That's such a fucked up question. Do I enjoy depression
Like which
more?
one is less bad?
Ooh. I would prefer to have both, but like less extreme. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Because I've had depression pretty extreme.
So
and
you
I've
don't
had
have a
anxiety
favor. You just want to have less.
just less.
Okay,
Yeah.
you don't have favor. Because for ADHD,
Yeah.
not ADHD, bipolar 2,
Oh, yeah.
there's this kind of cycling.
Oh, right, and they have like the extreme
Up
highs.
and down,
yeah,
up and down.
Right.
And almost everyone talk, they say, oh, manic is way more fun.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, no, well, that's funny that you like gesture like down up, right? Because I'm gesturing like anxiety, depression, right? So it's just like, it's on the same plane.
Ah, okay.
Right?
Yeah. For I think anxiety and depression is on the same plane.
I think so, yeah.
Because, but I think like a manic kind of depression is like on.
I think, yeah, that's like
it's
better word.
Yeah. Because
But I've heard people do stuff in manic states that like are bad. You know what I mean? Like, right?
Yeah, I think it depends.
But maybe their experience is not
depends
bad.
because
Yeah.
there are two types of bipolar.
Okay.
Oh
yeah, bipolar 1. I think I've heard of that.
bipolar
Yeah.
1 is like people actually will have like a loose touch of reality and
no.
they
Yeah.
and also
Psychosis?
Yeah, psychosis.
Okay.
But the bipolar 2 is like more like the like a mild one. So
Oh,
it
okay.
doesn't go to the extreme.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And it's kind of like a non-binary version of mental
Mood
illness.
disorder,
Like
yeah.
they don't really commit. They don't really commit. So it's and for
Do you
Lord,
have to commit? The whole point is you don't have to commit.
yeah. So bipolar 2, lots of artists have bipolar. So and
really?
and the manic phase is where I think for me the manic is also a little bit related to ADHD. Because manic plus ADHD is like hyper focus.
Do you have both?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, but I just
Yeah.
got a manic phase. I just got out of it very recently.
Okay.
That's why I decided to do this project.
And you prefer manic phase?
Yes and no. I think this manic this time got a little bit too much. I really feel I couldn't get out of it, and I was using money like. In hindsight, I think it could be like I feel like mental illness sometimes when it come up, it's also a sign to tell you something going on in your life.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's like I'm not taking enough care of myself, or like I'm really like fixating on. I'll fixate on like vomit or something, but it's because there's something else going on that's like that needs attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
ADHD worked. I couldn't focus. Can you focus?
Oh yeah, I was just saying like when I go into when I've gone into a depression, I don't always know why, but sometimes it's triggered by something sad. You know what I mean? Something bad happening or something like that. When I go into anxiety or into like more of my phobia specifically, like if I'm really fixated on vomit, it's often because I'm actually worried about like something totally different, but I'm like focusing all my energy on controlling this one thing.
Yeah. It's about having control.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My therapist told me that. I worked with a really good, like for a year, I worked with somebody on exposure therapy, which is specific help for OCD and phobia. And she was like, at one point, she was like, I'm just going to suggest, like, do you think you're afraid of a loss of control? And I was like, no. And then, like, after, like, a few more sessions, I was like, oh, yeah, that's 100% what it is.
Then if you think about it, I think bulimia, like a, how do you say this eating disorder where you don't eat much?
Yeah.
No, bulimia is
anorexia.
Yeah, I think that's also very similar.
I think probably,
Yeah.
I have, so yeah, I don't have an eating disorder, but one of my compulsions around my OCD and my phobia is that I'll restrict my eating. So I don't have anorexia.
Do you think it's because you don't want to puke?
Yes, it's exactly. So like I've many times, like I'll hang out with you today, and then if you texted me tomorrow, please don't. If you texted me tomorrow and you're like, oh, I have a stomach flu, I will not eat for 3-4 days because I say as long as I don't eat, then I won't catch the stomach flu. It's not logical at all.
Because you already ate the food.
Well, and also it doesn't, the flu, like you catch that whether you eat food or not. It has nothing to do with it.
No, I think maybe your subconscious think if you don't eat, even you have it, you won't puke.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Like, no, it's a conscious decision.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, there won't be any food in me, so I can't throw up.
Yeah.
But you can still throw up no matter what.
Really? Oh, yeah, that's
yeah,
true. That's
like-
true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't control whether you throw up or not, too,
Yeah.
you know?
Then if you think about that, I feel like there are so many mental illness. I feel like they are just different clothes on similar things.
I think probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I was talking about, control, having control. Yes, I depression, anxiety. I was manic. Yeah, I was very manic. So I think this time the manic phase was a little bit scary for me.
I'm sorry.
But then on the other hand, I almost never touch a camera until like 45 days ago.
Oh, wow.
And then now I
all the
own like
time.
5 cameras and a
You have the
1,000
mics.
videos.
Yeah, you're set up.
So I think this time my trigger is I had a burnout of comedy.
I'm sorry?
A burnout from comedy.
A bomb?
Like burnout. I work too much and I.
Oh, burnout. Sorry.
Burnout,
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
I think like people from native speaking countries, they have issues to understand me. But the international people, they understand me way easier because you guys are less familiar with like accent.
Well, but you live in Germany, is that right?
Yeah, I live in Germany.
So maybe you're picking up more of a German accent
Yeah,
when
could
you speak
be.
English.
People keep saying I have German accent. You know what? The funniest thing is, like every time I come to Fringe, they say I sound German.
Yeah,
But the thing is,
you have a German clip to your cadence, the way that you talk.
really?
Yeah.
But the funniest thing is, I don't speak German until
But you
this
hear
year.
it all the time.
No, I don't know German people. I
Oh,
don't have
really?
German friends. I don't watch
Do you
German
watch
TV.
TV? No?
No.
Do you go sit on the bus? Or?
No, on the bus, no one talk with you. Yeah, and also most people in Berlin are international. Like,
Yeah, but there's like, but
really?
there.
You did
Well,
get
no,
into you?
Well, I
think?
can hear it, but also, I mean, I think that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not that.
No, it's
But,
not only you. Like, lots of people said
Well,
so.
but it could be like maybe it's coming from something else, but who knows? But I think like because English is now even more than like when we were growing up, like even more people speak English. There's this like third language of English that people speak to each other that like the phrases sound weird, the pronunciation sounds really fucking weird. I'll get these commercials, like I'll play phone games and I'll get like a commercial that was clearly filmed in Eastern Europe, but all of the people are speaking English to each other. And I think they sound really neutral American and they say the weirdest fucking shit and they sound really weird talking. And I'm like, but they're all communicating with each other.
I think you are exactly right. I think
it's like a new language that's coming.
You are speaking like the native English and we are speaking English like
You're
international.
speaking English to other people who are non-native
Yeah,
English
yeah,
speakers.
yeah,
So you're going
exactly.
to pick something up that's not
Yeah.
familiar to me. That's fine. Like, do
Yeah.
your thing. But Yeah.
I think it's funny though. I
Yeah.
think it's funny that people think I
Like also
yeah.
the word burn, right? A German speaker would have a hard time saying the R in that.
Really.
But, like they say,
You know Germans?
Like tiny, like a tiny. I studied opera, remember? So
Oh yeah. Yeah, like I heard all the big like
Yeah.
if you want to chase your dream, you come to Germany.
Oh yeah, big opera scene in Germany. I mean, I went to visit, but I never went. But yeah, so in Germany, the R is always like that. They don't do just like France.
Yeah.
So if you're speaking English with non-native, with German speakers who are speaking English, they're not pronouncing their R right in the word burn.
You know, I feel
I mean, not right, but they're pronouncing it
I
differently
talk
than I would.
with so many people to figure out why I sound German. You are the first person really like sound logic.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're doing this podcast about mental health.
Yeah, so back to the burnout. Yeah. So I have a. I think I'm not sure if I'm still in the burnout.
Okay.
It's and I think.
But are you doing? You're doing a bunch of Fringe shows.
Yeah. But let me clarify. I don't mean comedy per se.
Oh, okay.
I mean my main source of income is producing comedy shows in Berlin.
Oh, I see.
And one day I realized I don't want to do this again because I've been doing it really, really hard for a few years, and I had lots of shows. I have like 20, 25 shows a month,
Oh my gosh,
like producing myself.
Wow.
And then at one point I look back, I just realized I'm so bitter because comedians in Berlin, like lots of them are super like diverse and unique and talented, but on the other hand, it's not a professional. There's no industry there, so there's lots of ethics and the kind of like expectations not clear. And I'm a person like, for example, if people like really fuck up on my show, I don't mind they fuck up on stage. I don't mind they bomb on stage, but all the things rest like
unprofessional.
Yeah. And I get so resentful.
Yeah.
And at one point I just realized I become so bitter and I don't like it. And then with the depression, it's like when I'm depressed, I just don't want to go out of the house, and it costs so much mental capacity just rationalize it, go or not go, cancel or not cancel, and I just realized like I like comedy, I love performing, but this kind of lifestyle that go out every night to perform is not for me.
Yeah.
But at that point, when the manic started, I didn't know this. I didn't figure out anything else.
Because it takes can't. It's easier in hindsight to realize. Yeah.
Yeah, and when the manic happened, I think it's like I'm freaking out because, on one hand, this is my main source of income. If I don't do this, how can I survive? Then on the other hand, I started to do comedy like 6 years ago when I was depressed, and I went on stage, and I always tell people as soon as I went on stage, that's the moment like I immediately feel okay, this is for me, I will do it for the rest of my life. And then I also I have this identity crisis. I'm like, if I don't want to go out every night to perform, who am I? I mean, like, am I quitting comedy? Am I quitter? And I now it's easy to say. It's been like probably like 6 weeks or something. It's easy to say. Oh, I realized the moment I realized this is for me. It's like I thought it's comedy. It's because that's the first time in my life I have ever did anything creative, and I thought, okay, this is like, it's like if you first time you fall in love with something and you thought, oh, this is like you love everyone or something, but this is a better analogy. You got what I mean?
I think so.
So it's like, so at that point, in my life, I never did anything creative. My family was extremely poor from China, extremely like not. I wouldn't say this word extreme again because I realized like they are also, we were very poor in the city, but they were way poor people. Peasants.
Right. It's relative.
So we were
yeah.
we were poor, and I never did anything creative. And I tried. I remember my mom sent me to a class when I was like maybe 6, 5 for drawing, and I remember the teacher. After he saw what I draw, he got my drawing on the stage in front of the classroom. Said, "Don't do this. This is wrong."
No.
Yeah, and I
Just yours too?
yeah, just mine. And I remember this like it's
Of
like
course, yeah.
and I was never good at anything creative in my life.
Yeah.
And that day, I just feel this power, this energy in me. And also, there are some comedians, they don't start funny, and by practice, they become very, very funny. But me, it's like, from the first moment I was funny. And it's like superpower I discovered inside of me.
That's cool.
Because I always thought I'm an ordinary person, I'm average, there's nothing special about me, I'm boring, like I'm not creative. And at that moment, it's kind of like just I just feel this power in me. And I just thought, okay, I will do this for the rest of my life. This is for me. And so when this burnout happened, when I realized this is really a life I don't want to live, it's really a life I don't want to live, and I don't want to do this anymore. And the financial stress start to overwhelm me.
Yeah.
Then the identity crisis.
Yeah.
So I think because I'm just so anxious, so worried, I don't know who I am, how can I survive anymore? So I just got really, really manic.
Yeah.
Just try out all kinds of things.
Right.
And I think once I landed on this project, and I realized I tried many things in between, and on this project I just realized one day I had a breakthrough. I was on mushroom. In a
drug I'll never take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you will puke.
Yeah.
And I was on mushroom in a amazing beautiful place in Berlin. It's kind of like a resort, but they don't have hotel. You just go there for a day.
I've been there. Wait, is it called?
What, Bali?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone is naked.
It's so
good. Did
good.
everyone check your titties?
I hope not. I was too relaxed to notice.
You have the biggest titties there. It's so nice. It's so nice, right?
It's so nice. I went to Berlin one time, and I spent 2 days. I went back there twice to the spa, and then that was 2017, and ever since then I've been I want to go back to that spa.
But
so nice.
Because I don't travel a lot, I was poor,
Yeah.
so I don't know. Have you traveled a lot, go to resorts? Do you think that's better than those? Because I thought it's just.
I don't go to resorts.
Oh, okay,
yeah, no,
okay.
I don't know. But I have this is so off topic, and I'm interrupting your story.
No, it's fine.
I used to live in San Francisco, and there's a lot of not too expensive places like that where you can be naked co-ed with other.
You really?
Yeah.
They have this naked culture too?
In just among certain crowds in San Francisco.
Okay.
That in my experience. And so that was just so then I discovered that when I travel, I like to find whatever the spa culture is, because I know in Germany there's people go to spas, right? That's a thing.
Yeah. And it's not for a middle class or whatever.
Right, it's for anybody.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's considered healthy or whatever. So anytime I travel somewhere, if there is such a culture of going to spas, I'm I gotta do that while I'm there. So that's
It's so interesting because, for example, I would never think I would so comfortable with my naked
but
body.
It's not sexual. You said, do people check out my boobs? I'm I don't think so. It's not like that.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine until you are there, because if you are not there and everyone think, oh my God, all those naked bodies or whatever. But then once you are there, it's just become the most normal thing.
It's actually very relaxing, because you're you asked, I have to wear a bra all the time. This is my chance to just to kind of be free of everything and
And it really helped me a lot with my body imaging issues.
Image, yeah.
Yeah, I always ashamed of my body. I never treat my body nicely because I'm not the kind. I don't have the type of body to be appreciated in Asia, in China, and I always wanted.
Neither.
No, like no, I don't. Like your body wouldn't be appreciated in Asia, but the thing is like in the West, beauty comes
It's
from
all different.
so many shapes.
I mean, but that's true in Asia too. I'm sure it's just the cultural like.
No, I don't think so. Like the people are so conditioned, they don't believe.
We all are though, right?
Yeah.
Like what I'm trying to say is, don't worry, I hate my body too.
Okay. So,
but I think unfortunately we're all conditioned to hate our bodies in some way. Yeah.
Anyway, so when I went to this type of spa, I at Wabali, when I was lying there fully naked, I just suddenly had this connection with my body, and I just feel so comfortable and not being need to hide, not feeling ashamed.
Yeah.
And I feel it's just so liberating. And what a small world! I talked with someone from Los Angeles, and we've been to Wabali.
Anytime anybody mentions, I called it Vabali. I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Wabali.
Vabali. Every time anybody mentions Berlin, or it's like in a news article or anything, I'm like, the spa, like that's my favorite place.
Yeah. And you know, my boyfriend, my partner, he is from East Europe.
Oh.
And he's really, really hairy, like with like you never saw anyone so hairy in your life. And he was also very ashamed of him. Before he had a girlfriend, he wouldn't even wear like shorts in summer. And then I told him about this spa culture. I want to take him to spa. He said he would not tolerate it. It's he can't feel comfortable. And I took him there, and now he's like, let's go to Wabali.
I love
Let's
that.
go to Wabali. Oh, how about let's travel to Hamburg to go to Wabali there?
Oh, there's another one.
There's three in Germany. Yeah,
Oh,
I think one
one
is in Cologne or Düsseldorf, one in Hamburg, and one in Berlin.
Well, I literally because I'm here, I'm coming from California, it's so far away. I was like, well, I'm already in Scotland.
If you want to visit Berlin, if you want to stay for a week or so, we'll have a place.
Oh, that's so nice of you to offer. Oh my gosh, I'll probably be completely out of money by the end of this month. But if I have a little money left over, I'll call you.
So is it a very big, I feel like it's so courageous for American comedians coming here.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's, for example,
far.
for me, it's like I knew I want to come here, and because I live in Germany, so I feel the commitment is way less than. For example, I wanted to go to Australian fringes for a few years, but because it's so far away, I feel it's just way harder for me to commit.
Yeah.
Because it's so much unknown, so much uncertainty.
I think it's interesting. It's like Edinburgh Fringe has been on my radar for a long time as the premier theater festival, right? So it's sort of just been in the back of my mind. And at times it was like, oh, that would be cool, and then, so for me personally, it was only over the last couple of years that I was like, I had a friend come last year and she really helped me feel that it was more achievable. And so it's really only in the last few years that I was like, oh yeah, I think I could do that, right? And then culturally, I also have noticed that people have heard of it more and more. So in the comedy community, I feel like we've talked about it for a while. And then Fleabag came out, and now a few more people hear about it. And then with Baby Reindeer, like my mom's friends are like, oh, Edinburgh Fringe.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Baby Reindeer is so interesting. It's such a negative portrayal of the Fringe, but actually, no exposure is bad.
I guess so. Yeah, somebody recently was like, oh, you're going to Edinburgh like Baby Reindeer. And I was like, I hope not like Baby Reindeer.
You know what I heard that the abuse, actually the rape, happened at Edinburgh Fringe.
Oh, God.
One of the parties, the kind of networking parties. I heard
That's awful.
if that's the true thing, I think probably they did this to protect Edinburgh Fringe a little bit.
Maybe,
to not have.
I mean, I hope that's not happening.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So anyway, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So your show is about your OCD and your mental illness. If there's a chance to choose, would you not have your mental illness at all? Would you think like?
Whoa, that's interesting.
Yeah. Would you prefer to be a person that
Yes.
like not have all this experience?
I mean, it's funny. I'm so close to the show now, and again, I only started writing it like about a year ago, right? And so it's been through it's been a real journey.
You don't sound like you have ADHD at all, because ADHD people will write a show 3 days in advance.
Say that again.
A person with ADHD,
Yeah.
we want to write a show a year before.
Oh yeah, well I'm so focused. Yeah. Maybe I am a little organized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's funny. My husband has ADHD, so we live in a household that has two different approaches.
Oh,
to things.
so are you
Yeah.
mad at him all the time? Because my mom is mad at me all the time.
I think that in my worst moments, I'm mad at him sometimes, and in my best moments where I'm able to be more compassionate, I'm I think what's cool actually is it's really cool to be that close with somebody and and really get to know them and be intimate and know oh, his brain just works totally different. It's just coming from a totally different angle than mine.
Yeah.
And so I actually think his ADHD is a superpower sometimes. His ability to focus, the hyper focus.
Yeah.
I don't have that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's a book called Fast Than Normal. He also said ADHD is a superpower.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just
Okay, cool.
Well,
I should read that
they
too.
use a metaphor. It's people with ADHD is not inferior, but it's we are like a
Yeah.
Ferrari with a bike's brake.
Yes.
So-
and then it's the world isn't built around the right way for that.
Yeah. The world is built by normal cars, and we should be driving on a racetrack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that. I like that analogy. Yeah, because I see that with my husband. It's not that anything's wrong with him. It's just that he's a puzzle piece trying to fit sometimes, not always, but sometimes fitting in the wrong puzzle. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but yes, I do get mad at my husband sometimes.
And then afterwards, do you feel bad? Do you apologize?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, he gets mad at me too sometimes.
So would you? The question I didn't really get a clear answer.
Distracted.
Do you prefer your mental illness
Oh
free?
yeah. So I think that if you'd asked me, I almost feel like it's impossible for me to answer that at this moment. If you had asked me before this show was even an idea that I had, I would say absolutely, I would be so very happy not to live with this. I think that's still the answer, but I don't want to say my whole life is this show, because it's not, but I have poured so much of myself into this show, and it has opened things up, not professionally or anything like that.
Emotionally.
But emotionally and
and personal
and
growth.
artistically, you know what I mean? For me, personal growth in ways that I wasn't expecting, and I think that's been a really cool thing that I wasn't, like I said, wasn't expecting. And so you're right, I wouldn't have had that experience without the phobia. But yeah, like I said, I'm 36. I've had the phobia for all 36 years, basically. That's a lot. And I recognize that throwing up is a normal bodily function that protects you from being sick for longer or whatever. And I probably should be able to do that.
Cool. For me, I feel I sometimes, for example, I have herpes. This is a normal thing in Asia. They didn't even know it's herpes.
My mom has that.
She's Asian?
No. No, just herpes.
Oh, yeah. Herpes.
We call it cold sores, to be
in Asia, it's not, they didn't even know it's herpes. They didn't know it's virus.
Oh, okay.
Because everyone has it.
It's normal,
and we just think it's about...
It's not dangerous.
Yeah. It's, we just think it's about you eat. When you have this, you think, we know, okay, it's inflammation, you need to drink more water, eat better food, it's about you didn't sleep enough. Which is true.
It's
true.
A trigger. Your immune system is lower.
Yeah, it's a trigger. But in China, the majority of people, they didn't know that. They think that's the reason.
Right.
But it's a trigger.
Right.
And so I didn't know I have herpes. And it's annoying, it happens often.
Yeah.
And it's really uncomfortable. But sometimes I feel not sometimes, somehow, on some level, I am grateful for the herpes because I grew up in such a not normal family. I didn't have a family life. I didn't learn how to take care of my body. And also, my mom, she was raising me alone, working like crazy. So I didn't know what's normal. I didn't know what's work-life balance. And I think herpes is there to tell me, okay, you are too fast. You need to slow down.
Okay, you just like unlocked something for me that I hadn't been thinking about in the context of your question, but it's totally true. Okay, so my phobia I had forever, and I almost like, it was not something I talked about much. It was just kind of a quirk that people who were close to me or people who grew up with me know about. Because it's very quiet. To like have OCD typically is like very quiet. It's not something that other people would notice necessarily.
Really? Not the kind of like, oh, you need to wash your hands. Like,
I mean, maybe like somebody who lives with you.
No,
yeah.
I think maybe it's not for those people who have OCD and they are germ phobics. Then you can notice them easily. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Like it takes like a lot of different forms. Like I said, like there's types of OCD that you could look it up. There are types of OCD that are like all kinds of like
You talk about OCD like people talk about Chihuahua.
Yeah, there's so many different breeds of OCD and they're all cute.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is that for me, like it got so bad. Actually, this is funny. It got so bad for me in my late 20s, mid to late 20s. That I was noticing myself like not maybe able to go into work that day, or like I actually almost canceled that trip to Berlin, which for me was something I had like saved up for and was like, it was
especially if you study opera is something special for you.
Right, it was really like, and I was somebody who'd never let myself be held back by like being depressed or having anxiety, which were things I was maybe more familiar with. And so that actually, weirdly enough, that trip to Berlin specifically, I was about to cancel it because I literally was like, I'm afraid that the plane will crash or that I'll throw up. And those are equally scary to me. I'm not even joking. If you come to my show, you'll find out that like, and I'm not exaggerating.
What time
I wish
is
this
it?
wasn't true. It's at 5:10 p.m. or 5:10 p.m. every day.
5:10? You mean
Except
10
for a few days.
10 past 5?
10 past 5.
Oh, 10 past 5.
17:10.
Okay, 17:10. I might be able to see it.
I would love if you
I just
can.
need to move around the park show a little bit. Then
Okay.
I might be able to see it.
I mean, I'll be here the 2nd to the 24th and off 3 days in the middle. Like.
Okay, cool.
But sorry, should I finish my?
Of course.
Sorry.
Of course.
I'm like,
Sorry.
No.
I
That's
have
okay.
ADHD. I interrupt
that's
people.
okay. I'm used to it. So I got so bad, and I really am like even now, even though I'm much more able to handle the phobia, like it's still very real to me. So I am like pretty much as afraid to throw up as dying, which I know sounds insane.
Yeah.
But I know that sounds crazy. It's just like that, but it is
Okay,
crazy.
dying, puking, and being raped.
I mean, I hate it. I mean, why would I?
No, dying, puking, being raped, or being homeless.
I
Pick
don't
your.
love any of those options.
If you have to choose one.
I mean, obviously puking, right? Like I know intellectually that like it doesn't last forever.
But you can't say intellectually because you are mentally ill. There's no logic in that brain.
Well, then I'm gonna mentally ill not answer that question.
Okay. Let me think. I would choose puking because I puke all the time.
Yeah, most people do, or enough that they're not afraid of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, wait, sorry. So I got to the point for me that was my limit where I was like, whoa, like I've never canceled a trip before that was thousands of dollars and like important to me. And so that was when I said, okay, I really need help with this. So I went and I did exposure therapy, which is exactly what it sounds like. You like over the course of time expose yourself to triggers more and more. And in that process, that transformed my entire relationship to fear in a way that it went much deeper than just the phobia, which is like kind of this little part of this much deeper relationship to the entire the entire experience of fear that happens all the time, right? Like people have fear a lot, right? And that was like transformative in a way that I was not expecting, and like persists for me. Like, I think I probably got pretty annoying with my friends if I wasn't already. Like people would, you know, okay, so in my therapy, it would be like, what are you most afraid of right now? Well, I'm afraid of losing control and dying, essentially. And then instead of my therapist or myself being like, oh, that's not going to happen, which is, I think most people will say, oh, you're not going to die from throwing up, right?
Yeah.
She would be like, you might. And I had to just experience the fear of that being an actual possibility. And that was how I got better. So then my friend would call me and be like, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job or something like that. And I'd be like, yeah, you might, you know. And
yeah,
then,
I think it's a similar myself. I also learned, like, for example, I'm afraid of losing my gears. I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid, like, this is the first time in my life that I have money. I was really, really poor. My family was really poor, and I grew up without a father. My mom used everything to support me abroad. And since I had a job, I've been paying back the debts, like she loaned, and those high interest debts for like $1,000 a month, every month. And I just thought like there's no way out of this. Like I can't see the future. I can't see like to get over of this, because after the debts, I still there's more. Like my mom also getting old. But then the lucky thing is, my father, who I only met like twice in my life, passed away 2 years ago, and at the same time, my comedy really took off. Two things together, like because he left me, not he left me. If he knew that he's going to die, I think he'll use all the money before he dies. But he didn't know, so it's not much money, but my comedy really, really took off. So the comedy money paid back almost everything. No, actually it's not comedy money alone. So there's some money he left, paid back. Then together last year I had a really successful Fringe. So I put all the cash, sent back to China, and it's done. It's done. So that was the first time in my life that's free.
Wow.
And then last year I went back to China. He has a small apartment. He didn't leave that to me. Actually, it was from communist time. They got it for free from the country, and his father, and then it got torn down. So in his whole life, he didn't raise any children. He didn't take care of his family. He owned himself, and he left almost nothing. And this flat is not even because of him. It's something like
right.
Yeah, and then we sold that thing. It's not much, but it's the first time in my life that I have money on my account, and not to need to worry that if I take 6 months off, for example, now I decide to do more online work, and then do more festivals, so I don't have to do all the producing work.
That's
in
great.
Berlin. So why we talk about it? I have ADHD. I forgot myself already. That doesn't matter. What one thing I want to talk. Do you still have a few minutes?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I want to talk before the podcast ends is, I think, yes, I think like a mental illness or some. I think it's bad, but I also think it also has its good things it brings to us. For example, I feel like if I know some happy people, and they are just so like they don't understand the things they say to other people. Like when people they don't understand, and sometimes it's just very ignorant. For example, I'm happy. I'm not happy I'm from a dysfunctional family, but I'm happy that I have the sympathy and I have the capacity to relate with people from a dysfunctional family.
Totally.
But I know people like they are not bad people, but because they never experienced like this, they would say the worst kind, they would show off how happy their family is. For example, I was first fresh off the boat like 12 years ago to this continent, and I never traveled in my life because I was so poor. And I went a trip with a classmate, and we opened up. I thought we opened up for each other. I opened up for her, tell her my insecurity. I never had a boyfriend then, and I didn't have a father figure in my life. I really craved to be loved, and then after I said this, you know what she told me? She said, "Oh, I love my father. You know, like, oh, I don't think I find it like it's hard to have a father that love you so much because you'll never find anyone love you more." And then it's way harder, like the standard.
But don't you think those people are like, they're like not hiding something, but like hiding something from themselves? Like, they're like being willfully ignorant of something?
I think some of them can, and I don't blame them because I've been there too.
Right,
For
like
example,
it's probably easier not to think about it.
Yeah. Sometimes even like this is not right, but because you want to just say something to fail yourself. Like I did this because I was really, really poor. And then I remember one day after I got a job, I ran into a girl. She's from some other third world country. She asked me if it's hard to move here, to get a job here, to get a visa. I was like, no, it's not hard at all. You just need to go to university. It just need to be the top 200 around the world, and then afterwards you get a job. And then
like
afterwards I feel like this thing happened maybe like 7 years ago, but this moment just can't leave my brain. I just see how ugly I was that moment, and it's kind of like a, how do you say, not a milestone, but it's like it's a mark for me to see like how ignorant and how unsympathetic I can be.
We all can now, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure I said things in the last hour that I'm like, oh fuck, like what did I mean by that? Everybody fucks up.
Yeah, and then I think like having mental illness, I think. Of course, I wouldn't go get some, but
just get a few more. Yeah, why not?
But I feel like we are like when you have mental illness, it's there are so many other people have mental illness.
Many.
I feel like it's when you have it, you are not 100% happy person. Then you are more easily to understand other people's pain and to understand. Okay, you did this wrong. Like you have more sympathy when people.
I think that's where I'm coming from. Is like happy is an emotion. It's not a description of somebody. Like your identity isn't happy. You feel happiness. You feel fear. You feel anger.
I disagree. I think they are happy people. Like for example,
maybe
like,
I need to believe that that's
they
not
are
true.
happy people. Like I think people are just built differently. And
people are built differently.
Yeah, like for example, like my mom, she grew up in the 60s in China. Polio vaccine was coming out in 50 already.
Right.
But because it's China, she didn't get a vaccine. She got polio.
Oh wow.
She became handicapped. She's a brilliant. She's so smart. She's so intelligent. We got a computer, I think the first time maybe in 2001 or 2002. At that time, in my city, in my class, most people have never even touched a computer, and she never had a computer. And she bought a computer with a mortgage, and then the installments, and when it shipped, nobody to set it up, and she never touched a computer. And back then the computers was like 1,000 cables. She just put it on all herself, and because of she wanted to go to university, but she was handicapped, she was rejected, and then she's in love with a friend. They were like in school, and that. But then the family was really not happy of the father, and then she dated another guy, and the other guy's mother come to my mom's home to shout at her, insult her, ask her to be far away, because nobody wanted their son to marry a handicapped woman, and with all kinds of discrimination, she managed to make a life for herself. Not only that, she never took government money. Not only that, she was always like a job employer. She always created jobs for other people.
Wow.
And her health is not doing good. And also like in China, like family is so important. And I'm not there. I'm not there for her. She's getting older.
Right.
And everything, like every time when I put me into her shoes, I just feel so bad. I feel so guilty. I feel like I feel so hopeless when I put myself in her shoes.
Yeah.
But you know what? She's
fine.
She's driving her scooter,
Yeah.
like everywhere, playing all the time.
Yeah.
And she's learning an instrument and a Chinese instrument, and she's thinking about start TikTok to become a content creator.
Oh, cool. Wow.
And she's just so or positive.
Positive.
And
yeah.
every time I talk with her, I just realize she is a happy person.
Yeah.
And she has unhappy moments. It's
Yeah.
because of the society, the environment is not good.
It's just I'm saying that we may be like having depression or whatever,
Yeah.
like experience the inverse of that. So we also have the ability to be happy. It's
Yeah.
just our preset is like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but what I mean is the pre-side.
Yeah.
Like she can be unhappy, but that's because of the external situation. When external situation is good or even not good, she's
Right.
still
She's
able to
right.
feel happy.
That's her preset.
Yeah. But for me, like I look at it, I have everything. Like she's alone most of her life.
Right.
Her father doesn't love her because she's a woman, and the only person really loved her is her mother, but her mother died before she's 30.
Oh man.
And she's in she didn't marry the man she loves, but ended up with someone who just met 2 months, and they had lots of issues, and they break up fairly early, and she never had a real relationship after that. She was sexually depraved, love depraved, alone, and even that. And now she's old, and she had a car accident like 10 years back, or something like that. So she was limping already, and now she needs to use the
Walker?
But she's still happy.
Great.
But if you think about me, I have a beautiful flat in Berlin. I live in Germany. I'm doing comedy, like what I love. I'm with a man who loves me deeply. I have 2 dogs and everything, but I'm still depressed.
Yeah, I mean that's where it's like we talk about nature versus nurture,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like it's always a little bit of both. But
Yeah.
like I sometimes just kind of joke like my brain's being weird. My brain's just being weird.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what
yeah.
I mean? Like it's not. It's just my. I guess this idea of having a preset, like that's just my
Yeah.
preset.
Yeah,
and like
yeah,
I don't love that. That's not
Uh-huh.
my favorite thing. But like if I can just like forgive myself for not having control over that, then
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, you can't control things.
Yeah.
And it can be worse. You can
absolutely.
You can burn without the legs. You can burn out with the hands.
It could be anything could happen, it turns out.
Yeah.
And you don't actually, this is the lesson of my whole experience is like you don't have control over that.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you can die next day.
Yeah.
Especially like
We could die right now.
yeah. So
We don't know.
So like
So what are you gonna do? Just like
yeah.
live your life.
Yeah, instead of spending all your time to worry to make sure you don't die, which you will eventually.
Yeah.
Why not just enjoy every minute you have? Because no matter how hard you plan, like
I think
something
why not,
happens,
like,
you can die.
Live every minute you have because I can't expect myself to enjoy every minute
Oh,
I
yeah?
have. That's how I feel.
But you think, oh yeah, there's
If I
a subtle
force myself to enjoy every minute I have, I will want to die sooner. But if I just let myself experience and live every moment that I have, that's the only thing I can
You
hold
are
myself
totally
to.
right.
Yeah.
You know, like you are so like logical, and so like the way you talk with you is just like you. Talking with you, you can really put the words into the right place to really
Oh,
describe. I feel it's really pleasant.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
Yeah,
That's
cool.
that compliment means a lot to me. Thank you.
Cool. Then I hope you don't puke tonight.
I hope you don't puke tonight. I was genuinely afraid that I was going to get here and as a joke you would make yourself throw up.
What? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
As a prank.
Okay.
Because I don't know you at all. I don't know if that's the type of person you
No,
are.
I think it might be something I do, but the thing is, if I do that, I need to first understand the word you wrote.
Oh, good. Thank God.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, not just you. If it had been anybody,
Yeah.
that's what my weird brain does. So anyway,
And you
but thank
also
you.
can't see other people puke?
No.
Oh, wow.
But I've gotten so much better. I have a dog,
He pukes.
and he pukes. And my husband got puked a lot really recently, and I couldn't be in the room with him, but I did bring him a bowl.
Well, you were able to be around him.
I would have like, it's fight or flight. I would have like
Yeah.
run away, but I sat on the couch and I said, "Are you okay, babe?" That was like that's big for me.
Wow,
yeah.
that's really good.
I once got out of a car that I was driving while it was still moving. I got out of the driver's seat of a car
Why it moves?
while it was in gear and
But it's
moving.
that's very dangerous. Why you do that?
Because my brain shut down. It's fight or flight. I
Uh-huh.
got out of the car. Thank God my friend was in the passenger seat. She I'm pretending like it was
You
UK.
so you
She put it
you
into,
open the door, you left.
I had enough presence of mind to pull it over. Look, I'm like an improviser. I'm like, I pulled it over, and then my friend in the back was throwing up. So I was going very slowly at that point, but my brain shut down and it said, "Get out of here." So I got out of the car, and luckily my other friend like jammed her hand on the gear shift and put it into park, and then the car stopped. But
Wow.
yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Cool. Thank you so much for the
Thank you.
podcast. It's
Yeah.
such a nice conversation. And yeah, I learned a lot from
Me
you.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing your story too.
Yeah.
That was like very nice to hear. Not nice, but like what's the word? I'm jet lagged.
I
Thank you for
know
sharing
what
your
you
story.
mean. I know
Yeah.
what you mean.
I feel
Yeah.
closer to you from having learned
Yeah,
that.
me too. Great. Then bye bye. Don't